Tom Allen here from Old Dominion University Geography. Excited to talk to you about a new project that we have on sustainable energy offshore and perhaps onshore, the Commonwealth of Virginia. We were engaged just about a year and a half ago to work on developing a user-centered approach to designing wind energy siting that would be prioritizing compatibility with national security, as Virginia has an abundance of national security military installations, airspaces, the second largest port in the world, and is also a gateway to the National Capital Region and the Chesapeake Bay. So along with several colleagues, I'll acknowledge that we had the support of the state through the Virginia Energy, formerly Department of Mines, Minerals, and Energy. We worked with an agency that liaises between the federal government and the state, the Office of Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and the Department of Defense, which also has a military siting compatibility clearinghouse, aka the DoD clearinghouse for all such issues. In the region, we have partners through an innovation hub. We have a legal team from the Coastal Policy Clinic at William and Mary. And we have Sustainable Energy Institute at James Madison University, kind of anchoring some of our expertise inland. And then faculty across campus, including geography, English, and IT. External partners through this process, we have both interviewed and followed up with some dozens of wind energy sector companies. And sort of in the background behind the scene, we've occasionally had extreme help from Mr. Keith Van Graffelen with Esri. So hats off to him for helping us along the way. When you look at the distribution of wind energy, we certainly understand the impetus and the need for sustainable, clean energy, not only for the environment, but also for kind of domestic and national security purposes. In Virginia, this map from NREL shows it's highly dispersed, yet also clustered. Mountain ridges inland through the Appalachians and Alleghenies, and then an abundance of energy offshore, where we have kind of the western wall of the Gulf Stream and the Labrador Current producing ample wind and convergence. However, when you overlay these military installations, this is a map of military training routes, military compatibility assessments that have been done offshore, again, with basically the centrality of the United States Atlantic Fleet Forces Command here in Norfolk. There is an awful lot of busy space out here in the atmosphere and on land. So towards this, the Commonwealth needed to identify the opportunity, but also advise and develop and guide developers of wind energy to avoid potential conflicts. We have the second offshore wind farm going in place now, the Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind with 2 turbines, commercial scale turbines. That may scale up hopefully from 12 to over 5,000 megawatts once fully operational and installed. It is a research lease at the moment. And most of this is in federal waters. So we're looking at 43 kilometers or 27 miles offshore. We needed to develop a tool that also looked at state waters in the bay and inland across the areas I showed you previously. So the goal is to deconflict or at least mitigate and ideally avert potential conflict with the military installations and operations. And then separately to engage developers on the process, the legal framework and maze that is involved with getting permits to do such development. We took a UX-driven approach and segmented users of the site into 3 broad categories through 6 months of sort of stakeholder interviews and needs assessments. We broke it down into developers, state and local and regional government entities, and of course the military, the Department of Defense itself, which is the ultimate reviewer. That also is a somewhat of a connector to the other interagency reviews that go on with, I'll just name a couple, the FAA, the Coast Guard, Corps of Engineers, Department of Interior. So we wanted to streamline this process and detect and guide against potential impacts. This is one look at it, kind of a maze. Depending on the type of energy, the scale of development that you want to do will largely determine the path that you take. Choose your own adventure. But you will be navigating through BOEM with the offshore lease blocks in federal waters. Almost every instance will entail some permitting and review from the Virginia Energy, and also, of course, defense and FAA reviews. If you're in the water, you go through the Coast Guard. If you're inland on a reservoir or lake or navigable waters, you're certainly going to run into the Corps of Engineers. And then eventually you may need to be appraised of the local situation on the ground, as many cities and counties are developing ordinances. And so we inform the users of these. And depending on each classification of step that you would go through, you'll have different procedures to follow, different maps and spatial information to guide you. These are the general steps. And we finally provide dozens of outlinks to necessary legal and other guidance. We are using ArcGIS Hub technologies for all of this. And I do want to quickly go to a live demo. It's always good fun. So right here, there we go, is our landing page, winsight.va.com. It will be after its release. And depending on which choose your adventure, if you're a developer, you go into the developer page and you're presenting with screening tools. So we can pick the layers of interest that we want to explore. This one happens to show existing turbines, lease blocks, and the wind energy potential. If you are a military user, you want to ensure that this tool is providing the vetted and current information on what the DoD has in place and its activity spaces. So we have their military training routes and compatible use zones. If you zoom into some places, you'll actually see accident zones and special use airspaces, such as training routes and bombing ranges and things like that. We have outlinks in the hub to take you to the very specific needs requirements and processes that you have to fill out depending on your particular project. Government users, such as the state and localities, we have interactive maps for them that cover their ordinances. They can see their individualized ordinances and compare them to their neighbors. It could be that we break past the kind of NIMBYism, not in my backyard, where some of these wind resource rich areas will actually be recruiting companies to come and develop that resource, as we are seeing in Hampton Roads. And then we have the ordinances linked themselves through municode.com. Now, most important is the use of this site by developers. So we have a structured process that they go through and are walked through, basically guided, where they are presented with different tools that then enable them to fill out the necessary forms to apply for permits and seek pre-checks or informal queries, basically save them a lot of red tape and time and money before pursuing a particular project in a given location. So this is a kind of step through a kind of linear guided path for the ArcHub. And it goes all the way through to the application permitting step, where the users are enabled, then everything that is required for their permit can be accessed through this. It might be to the extent of that we actually limit their on-site specific reviews. You might, for example, have to do a endangered species impact or environmental impact study, or another environmental type of review. For those situations, we actually have some permitting site inspection kind of tools that generate reports, basically overlay and burrow through our data set, and then provide those reports that they can use. So I will stop to share, and hopefully this might take some questions at the end. What's next? We launched this winter. We are integrating more vessel traffic data. We are already looking toward a version 2 and more customization and web app kind of widgets to develop, and maybe expanding either geographically to some neighboring states or to develop this for other alternative energy, sustainable energy siting like solar or hydrokinetic energy. And finally, we have a mind toward stewardship, whether the university and the state government ultimately maintain this solution. Those are things that we are working out with our developers. Thanks very much. If you would like to reach out to me, my email, and I can put you in touch with any of our technical team or colleagues. Look forward to having any questions or contacts, and I really enjoyed the session here. Thank you all.